Continuing from the previous video clip, the suppliers may be interested in the date material or equipment is due at job site, anticipated order date, and after review of the shop drawings and submittals. So the project majority of the scheduling is done with the scheduling and computer and project management software, which organizes, calculates levels, and provides numerous views of the schedule, including network, Gantt chart, and tabular listings. So the updating of the schedule is necessary on a periodic basis, either weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. So the primary purpose of this update is to determine which activities are behind schedule and what their effect will be on the completion date of the project. So there are a variety of methods are used to update the schedule and communicate the updates to those involved in the project. So most scheduling software programs have updating features. So as an example, so this is the activity input, the scheduling input chart in terms of the details of the activities. So the details of the activities which is entered into the scheduling software is the duration and predecessor information for the activities, besides their activity numbers and their duration. So after the schedule is prepared, normally a scheduling software by default prepares the Gantt chart, and along with the Gantt chart, a scheduling table can be prepared. So this is the original construction schedule. The updated schedule can be prepared later on when the work has already started, and based on the updating interval, the schedule can be updated. So in this case, the information for the activities is will change compared with the original schedule. So for example, the remaining duration for some of the activities which have been started or which have been completed will change, and the percentage completion of the activities may also change. As a result of the updating, if it is found that the project schedule is getting delayed, so that delay in the project have to be remedied, and the project must be brought back to its original schedule. So the crashing of the activities is done to reduce the duration of the activities on the critical path, and then bring the project back to its original or agreed upon completion date. There are some sort of charts which are called as the short-term duration charts, which are used on the construction project. So these charts basically provide some detailed clarification of the larger item in the construction schedule. They may be the schedule for power shutdown or other utility interruptions, such as the shown over here. They may be also used for move-in activities for the owner. They may be scheduled for the remediation work behind the schedule, and etc. The project cost control is the next topic after the time control. So the comparison of the actual cost with the estimated cost during the project provides an accurate measure for the current success of the project. So the cost comparisons data during the construction activity provides the contractor with the opportunities to adjust factors involved with the activity. So active cost control enables the contractor to achieve a profit on construction activities. So some computer programs can be used for cost accounting and cost control. So these programs compare the actual cost with the estimate and provide accurate cost information to the project team immediately after the input. So the cost control. So a cost control can be used to determine the profitability of the project, whether it is full profitability or the partial project profitability. It can be also used to determine the source of overruns to allow immediate steps or measures on the future projects. It can compare work activity actual cost to the estimated cost for that activity. Analysis of this information and do the following. So determine crew productivity levels, identify for comparing the actual to estimated costs, the actual cost to the estimated cost comparison for that activity, and this type of analysis can do the following. Okay, for example, determine the crew productivity levels, identify the productivity problems. Several productivity problems or solutions are listed later on, and then specify ways to solve problems during the process and therefore limit or eliminate potential losses. So use comparison data for historical data, and use the analysis of problems for lessons learned that can be applied to future work, and compare costs to the baseline estimates to determine which costs are within the initial project scope and which costs are additional costs. So this comparison is used to isolate cost for change orders or the necessary completion of additional cost, necessary compilation of additional costs. Next, look at a case study. So Jim is a small contractor. He usually has about 12 projects per year. When he started business, he accumulated all of his costs to pay his bills, such as payroll, material, invoices, equipment rental, and subcontractors. As Jim estimated and managed each project personally, he felt that he was making the optimum profit on each project. Jim kept a journal that indicated what was spent and to whom. He often included a note indicating that the project or item such as the Miller kitchen floor covering. Since his jobs were quite small, Jim often would buy lumber or hardware for several projects in one invoice and usually wouldn't bother to divide those invoices into individual projects. Jim made reports to the IRS for payroll, withholding tax, and reported his revenue and other taxes to the state quarterly. He kept his invoices and his journal, and every year in March took them to his brother-in-law, who was an accountant. So they would determine how much he earned for the previous year and would file this amount with the IRS by April 15. Jim was able to determine if he made a profit for the year about 3 months after the year end and was in compliance with the rules and regulations. Jim's business was steady and he was able to make a living with it. He worked long hours, though usually 12 hours per day on the job and purchasing material, and usually 2 to 3 hours in the evening paying bills, doing payroll, and writing in the journal. Jim felt that he could make more profit, undertake larger projects, and work fewer hours if he expanded his business and his staff. Jim looked to larger projects but found that he needed relationships with a bonding company and a bank. Both of these entities required him to keep better tools, better books for his construction costs. They suggested that he needed to know how much profit he was earning on each project and really should compare his estimated costs with his actual costs. So after talking to a new accountant, Jim wondered if the expansion was worth the extra expenses of a bookkeeper and accounting services. So Jim then talked to a friend who had been a fairly large contractor for several years. His friend explained that Jim needed to know where he profited and where he did not. so that he could concentrate on profitable projects. Regardless of the type of work, geographical location, owners, or architect, it was necessary for Jim to draw some conclusion about why these projects were profitable. Jim's friend also explained that it was important to compare actual cost with the estimated cost to see where the additional profits or loss was being generated. So Jim could use the results as a historical data for the actual cost of an item to see which crews or individuals were producing more work. In fact, if Jim got the comparison immediately, as is possible with computers, he could identify a productivity problem and take immediate action to solve the problem. So with this case study, we can conclude that, or we can get an initial idea that it is necessary to track the costs of each and every project. Only then it will be helpful to expand your existing business of the construction company. So later on, we can see that Jim was convinced that he should implement a cost control program. It took a while for Jim and his foreman to get used to the coding time cards to the activities accomplished that day, but they adapted to the new system. As Jim's business grew, the sophistication of the reporting grew, and Jim was able to use the information he generated to manage his work more efficiently. He was able to manage crew productivity, produce accurate historical data for his estimating system, select projects that have a good profitability potential, and manage his costs. Because he used accepted accounting practices, he could prove to his bonding company and banker that he was a good risk partner. So this allowed him to expand his business by constructing larger projects. So good financial management is needed for expanding the business. So therefore, realistic cost control activities are needed. So the primary objective in setting up a project cost control system involves the correlation of the cost control activities from the estimates with the reportable construction activities. So there are major concerns for this purpose in maintaining an effective cost control systems. So there are major concerns. So first of that concern is that ensuring that the cost control accounts are of the proper scope. So the cost control account should be understandable. Labor should be able to be easily assigned to the cost control account. Estimate line items should be able to act as cost control accounts. Relating the crew assignments directly to the cost control activities. So the crew assignment should be clear and understandable. Cost account results should be able to be used as historical cost data. Field personnel should realize the purpose of cost control and report the costs accurately. A comparison of actual and estimated cost should be done immediately, providing data to field management personnel. And a feedback system should be in place to receive information from the crew relating to the causes of variances between estimated and actual costs. So the crew needs to be thanked when accomplished the task under the estimated cost, and the crews need to be encouraged when costs are over the estimate. There usually are factors that cause labor to overrun the estimate. Active project management finds the problem and solves it. So here is a cost account analysis example has been shown over here. So this cost account analysis, as we can see, shows the crew cost, labor cost for different activity items and their total cost, and the number of hours spent is also shown over here. So, and how many items activities have been, how much percentage have been completed, and this type of information can be collected, and then cost variances, schedule variances can be prepared. And with that, I think cost increases, so then many of these cost increases are also related with the productivity problems, and there some possible solutions can be also provided. So we will mention about it a little bit in the next video clip.